Hi guys, how you doing? How am I doing? Well, I'm doing a little better. And I always did say time was my ally. So I'm still a bit sad of losing my stuff. But I realize though that losing my stuff, losing my personal items, um, has been an ongoing process. Um, I think from when I last left home, you know, and uh, for years, in one form or another, I lose some items while saving others. I guess it's the first time that now I can say I lost everything. Well, you know what? I really can't say I've lost everything. I still have some stuff here. Not a lot, but hey, it is something, you know. So, as I also once said that some videos ago, that first batch of 16 millimeter I lost was very bad because the stuff I had was great, and the second batch of stuff was even better. Oh my gosh! And I'm hopeful. If I'm thinking, I'm trying to stay optimistic and say that if this trend continues, the next batch will be the best. If the first batch was great and the second batch was better, then it stands to reason that the third batch would be the best, the absolute best. So, also, what's interesting to note is that I have the phone number of Duran, the company that took over Aetna, the Aetna driver trainer system, and to the Duran simulation programs, which were started out as the 60 millimeter films. They were redone, beautiful color, and I think some of them, but I still miss the ones that I had before. And who knows? Who knows? The guy that I bought all those driver's ed that you saw. Okay, yeah, I mean, I lost the black and whites. You know, the one from that defunct California company that a couple of people commented, say, I remember watching this in class. Oh my God, it's been so long. Thank you for uploading it. And the Ford films. So yeah, and the commercials and promos, yeah. I mean, think about the first batch. The first batch of films that I lost. I had films that my neighbor had given me from the Dynamic film, the Dynamic Pictures, that included Invasion of the Monsters, New York City Department of Sanitation, The Racer's Edge, and The Partner's Tale. Those were three films, and This Passes Friends. So I will never see those again. I seriously doubt I will. Who knows, right? Hey, they may be floating around out there. Somebody has it, I think. Maybe, I don't know. The films that I had gotten from our upstairs neighbor over 1619 Broadway, over at San Juan. He had films that he gave me that they couldn't use because they were not 1,000 feet. they were even too short or too long. But they were just, you couldn't sell them as fill, which is what they were. But there were a couple of them, a few of them that I thought were irreplaceable that I just loved. I just absolutely loved. One was called IBM How We Believe, which was about this manager over at IBM that hesitated to employ somebody based on his own personal prejudices. And then they show that that at IBM they care not only on what they cannot do, but what they can do. And I thought that was a great film. I thought that was a wonderful film. That they focus on what people can do rather than, say, okay, what they can't do. Then there was a counseling service for managers about this one employee whose work was failing, and even though it was never determined what the problem was, but Jack was a good driver. It was another great film about suicide, and Bo Bridges was a mediator, and that young guy on Chips also appeared in it. That they were classmates, and he talked about their friend Jack who committed suicide. So that was a great film. I probably could get a whole nother print of that. That's probably floating around somewhere. The commercials I had, all the underdogs I had, and I had the features that I had. Oh my God, the features that I had. I had Superman 2 and Superman 3 that were LPP scope. There was a Towering Inferno Poseidon Adventure, both of which were, I think, IB Tech. Low fade, I think. Airport 77, which was a beautiful mint copy, adapted scope. I had Earthquake, which was also adapted scope. When time ran out, I had what else did I have? I had the Oh God films. I had Airport 79, Airport and Airport 75, and Airport 79. I had Jaws scope. But this time around, I mean, the print of Jaws that I had was, I think, like a reduction or a dupe, I think. That was not from the negative, but it was in scope. Another print of it became available since I've been here, but that was in scope also, and it was LPP low fade, but it went for a high price. The Towering Inferno was also in scope. That was also, I think it was for bids, and somebody got it for like $250 or so, which was, I mean, oh my God, I mean, he practically stole that one. And I missed out on Mush Mouse and Pumpkin Puss cartoon, Calling All Kin. This time around, I had a couple of, a few of the Adam Ant cartoons, a couple of the Hillbilly Bears cartoons. I had a whole bunch of Tom and Jerry and Takes Avery cartoons this time around. I started acquiring the driver's ads, but the good thing is that I have the phone number for Doron, and I called them up and I said that I have old films that I was going to transfer to DVD and Blu-ray, and I wanted to ask if I had their permission to sell the DVDs and Blu-rays. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think he said he didn't see a problem with that. But now, looks like I'm to contact Doron again and say, hi, this is Jim Lifton. Remember me? I'm the one who had a lot of the 60 millimeters, and I was going to transfer them to Blu-ray and DVD. And they'll probably say, oh, yeah, I remember you. You were going to sell them and you want our permission. I said, yeah. I said, well, there's a problem with that. I had the films in storage and I lost them. And so I was hoping that I might be able to buy the films directly from you as brand new. I had a catalog from 1995 where it indicated that it was like $700 or $550 per film, and I was wondering if you still had the prints. You could still sell me the whole set, because if you remember in previous videos I went over the list with you guys, and I said, yep, I have this, I'm not sure I have this, I definitely don't have that, I might have this, I might have that. So, but I did some calculations, and if I bought, it said, if you remember, that if you buy the whole set, you get a 2% discount. So, I did some figuring, and if Doron is able to sell me a complete set, all 14 films, as a set, from 1 year, okay, now, they might have old films that if they might want to get off their hands. Like, I remember I dealt with this one person who just, I said, let me get all that stuff off your hands. I'll take them all. I don't care. I'll take them all. So, I forget who it was, but I did say that, So I'll say, you know what? I'll take them all off your hands. Some of them might be totally different. As there were probably different rules, different laws, different teaching techniques, different drives, and see what he says. See if he, and I come to figure it out, and it comes to about the 14. So it comes to less than $7,000 for the entire set. Now we're talking about brand new prints. We're talking about brand new prints, which will probably has a fragrance of new film. Now there's one good thing about the new set, that the prints I had a problem, and that was that the prints that I acquired, the prints that I bought, were all used. They were all used. Every reel was a used print. And where the head and the tail got chopped off. Now, the way I would fix that problem is to get rid of the cards that say discussion here. So in other words, it would fade out, and there would be a card that said discussion here, and then it would fade back in again, and the drive would continue. Well, I think I could splice all those out, because I don't need them. It'll be a continuous run. I would not need to stop at those spots. Okay, let's discuss what we watched, that would be fine in driver's ed classrooms, but this would not be a driver's ed classroom where discussion would be necessary. This is basically just for the drive of it, you know. So, because I think what happened is that these were all on 800-foot reels, which approximate about 20 minutes, but to include the countdown leader, the regular leader that's placed on, the focus card, this is the beginning, and of course the end credits, and the tail leader, it goes well over 800 feet. And so what ends up happening is that the reel starts spaghettiing off the reel, and it gets dirty, it gets chopped off, it gets torn, and then what happens is you end up with a print that is missing the beginning and it's missing the end. So it's just cut in and cut out, and that's it. Also, because it was probably stopped a lot, there was sprocket damage. And if there was sprocket damage, there'd be some scratching. So I think if you saw, because I showed it about distractions, and right before the break in the film where there was sprocket damage and it broke, and I said, okay, here's a good place where we could stop. Right before that, you saw, because it appeared on screen, this scratch, this noticeable scratch. That was this line that just was a scratch, and which doesn't look too good. And because I had planned on transferring all these to DVD and Blu-ray, that I didn't want to fix them. I wanted to send them to the video house, have them transfer the film onto DVD and Blu-ray, and then I'll fix the films. Because I fix the films, and I'm going to cut off a piece of footage. I might cut off a frame or two, and you'll see a chop right there, because that's what happens. Chop, chop, chop right there, and that doesn't look too good on DVD and Blu-ray. And if you keep the film intact, and what they would do is they would go over each frame, and they would transfer each frame digitally onto the computer. And if you chop off a frame or two, it'll be noticeable. But if you keep the film intact and you keep all the frames, then you wouldn't have to worry about sprocket damage, because the film wouldn't be run on a projector. It would go on directly transferred to computer. Okay, so you'd still have every single frame. And that was the plan, really. And that being the plan, I said, okay, well, I can't work on the print, I can't fix every print, I can't do anything, I can't really watch them while they have damage, there's film damage. But until I get them transferred digitally, then I could fix them, then I could watch them, But if I have prints brand new, where there's no sprocket damage, no scratches, no scenes missing, no tapes, no splicing tapes, no lines, no nothing, that will go over really well when you're transferring to DVD and Blu-ray. Oh, yeah. And since I'd watch them all the way through instead of driver's ed teachers who would stop the films to discuss them. And maybe sometimes they'd have to put the film in reverse. If, like, let's say somebody says, "Can you stop the projector for a minute?" And the teacher would stop it. "Can you go back, please?" And they would go back. And if the gears had a problem, the film could pull on the sprocket wheel and tear the film and scratch it up, which is what I think happened to some of those prints. So, yeah, I lost all those films, but maybe I never meant to have them. Maybe I meant to have them temporarily. Maybe the whole purpose was that You know, like for example, uh, maybe, just maybe, um, those weren't the films I meant to have. Maybe I was meant to have brand new films. But because I would not have known, I mean, could I call Aetna and, hey, do you have a driver trainer department or division? And they'd probably say, no, we don't have it anymore. And that's well, right? I'm out of luck. Because then at that point, I probably would never know who bought the Aetna driver trainer set and how that would continue. See, now I realize, look at this. Some of the films on the can says Aetna, some of them says Doron. And these are all new, and the drives, I think, were better. Even though I had a couple All-State drives, which were continuous drives. They weren't just, here's a scene and then fade into another scene, fade into another scene. The All-State films were continuous drives. And I think they were produced a little better, because then it didn't dissolve from one scene to another. But even with that, they were still good. But with the improved Aetna, or the modern Aetna driver trainer films, which later became Doron, they were straight drives. They were straight drives all the way through. There was no dissolve from one scene to another. But maybe I was meant to have these films to let me know these films exist, especially having the booklets of literature that had the phone numbers, had the contact information, told me about what films they had and the prices. Because I was meant to have them, but I wasn't meant to have the films, especially the used films that I eventually bought, but brand new ones. And so everything happens for a reason, I believe. Everything happens for a reason. I was not meant to have the damaged films. I was meant to have nice new ones. But the only way to get that information is to buy a bunch of used ones that were damaged, that were rejects, that nobody wants because they're too damaged to be used, or it would not be effective in the classroom setting. So that's how I was able to get them at a really low price. They were originally like $35 a piece, and then they really weren't selling at that price, so he lowered it down to $20 a piece, and then he lowered it again to about $12 to $15 a piece. So, because he wanted to get rid of them, and he knew that